Alright, how's it going, class? This is Mr. Miles, and so I am here late tonight because we had a very successful first sports club. But since I am here, I figured I might as well start a podcast marathon. So I'm going to try and knock out a bunch of podcasts and catch us up to where we should be, so that way nobody feels like we are left behind. So first thing we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about the structures of the flower. And then we're going to hit on a little bit about how plants reproduce, but I'll probably put that in a separate podcast. So this will just be a separate one, okay? So, structure of the flower. So, as we know, a flower comes from gymnosperms or angiosperms. Give you a second to think. If you said angiosperms, you are correct. So flowers, because angiosperms means flowering plant. A flower is going to contain a few things. And remember, flowers, their main function is just to help transfer pollen. It's not to look pretty or, for you to give to your first girlfriend. They don't care about stuff like that. It is just to get pollen from one place to the other. And remember, we talked about if I were to ask you, oh, look at those red and yellow flowers over there. Are those going to be wind-pollinated, or are they going to be wind-pollinated or insect-pollinated, animal-pollinated? You'd be able to tell me. Obviously, it's going to be animals and insects, because why would it go through all that time and all that energy to put all these pretty colors on there unless it's trying to attract something? And even when you get white flowers, because remember, we saw that video where insects see differently than we do sometimes, and mostly they're just looking for contrast, something that's standing out so they can see it. So let's go over really quickly all the structures. So now we're going to put up with a pathetically ugly drawing that I'm putting together. And this drawing is coming from page 109 in your book. Now you guys should have this in your notes. If you don't have this, make sure you put it in there, because as you guys know, this will be on the test. I'll just have like a blank picture and I'll say, hey, list all these parts. And if you have the stuff in your notes, then yeah, no problem. Easy breezy, beautiful cover girl. But if not, then we got a serious problem. So let's take a look at this. Now remember, when we're talking about the male parts, we're going to be talking about you guys remember, stamen. Because man, and because women, they'll control us as we get older, and they'll say, hey, stamen. So that's how you remember that it's the male parts. And the male parts are going to consist of this and this. What do you call this top part? The anther. The anther is the top part. And the bottom part's called the filament. That's called the filament. Now, when we're dealing with the female parts, and that's the inside right here, we're going to be calling this the pistil. Remember, that was Kissin' Kate, the fastest gunslinger in the West, and she had pistols that she shot people with. Now, we're doing the pistil. When we get to the top part, so this is the very top of the pistil, you're going to be dealing with something called the stigma. You go down a little bit further, you hit that middle part, we're going to call this the style. And once we hit the very bottom, we are going to hit the ovary. And so of all parts of the pistil, you're going to have the stigma, the style, which is that middle part, and then the ovary, which is that bottom. And the ovary is where the egg is going to be contained. Now, on flowers, there's two different structures, and you'll see in your book, so hopefully you're following along. You'll have, the green colored leaf. Looks like a leaf. You don't call it just a leaf, because the scientists, they always need to try and confuse you. We call that the sepal. When it's the same color leaf looking like thing, it's going to be a sepal. Now the part that obviously we all love, go, oh, it's so pretty, that's called the petal. And the reason that we don't call this a leaf but a sepal is because before the flower blooms, so if you ever look at a flower, sometimes you'll see them closed like this, closed up, and they'll have little lines running down it. These leaves are just mostly for protection, so they get a very special name called the sepal. So really, that's all it is on the structures of a flower. Nice short podcast. So kids who complain to me that they're too long, this one's a little bit shorter. So there you go. And then I'm going to start putting up another one in just a second. So until next time, which is in about a minute, see you later. Bye.